As a roofing business, you are probably spending thousands and thousands, sometimes even tens of thousands of dollars a month on marketing, on ads, on SEO, on your website, on yard signs, canvassing teams, you name it, right? But what happens when someone actually calls you and no one picks up, right? Most contractors think, oh, it'll just go to voicemail, that'll catch it, or I'll call him back tomorrow, or, I'm on lunch right now, let me call him back in a second. When has I'll take care of it tomorrow ever been the key to success, right? I don't know a single person who has been successful in business that said, I'll take care of it tomorrow, and that has been the right decision, right? Because as you know, in most cases, that lead that you forgot to call yesterday, that you forgot to call the day after that, that you finally got to 2 days later, you know that that lead is most likely gone forever. And when you multiply that by 10, 20, 30 missed calls a week, which for most businesses is pretty standard, right? At that point, you're not just losing leads, you're pretty much just lighting money on fire, right? And so in today's video, I'm going to show you what you're probably doing right now to handle most of your calls, most of your leads, and what the top 1%, 0.1% of contractors are doing, many of which I work with to handle most of the leads right now, and why you should be copying exactly what that top 1% is doing. Like I said, if you're like most, you're over here spending thousands and thousands of dollars per month, every single month, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on your marketing, right? A big fat stack of cash. Some of y'all with the big old operations might even be spending this amount of cash on marketing. I wish, right? And so logically, it would make sense that the money that we're spending on marketing, we want to have the highest return possible, right? The whole point of spending money on marketing is to get more out of it, right? We're spending $1 to make five. The reason why you aren't getting a high return on your marketing is likely not because the marketing itself, not because your ads are terrible, not because your website designer sucks, not because the third agency you've tried this year is terrible. Most of the time, marketing works, right? Not all the time, I will admit, but most of the time, marketing works. But the problem happens when that person actually becomes a lead, right? They have an incoming lead status. This could be coming from a phone call, this could be coming from a text message, this could be coming from your website, whatever that might be, right? Let's just say for this example, they're coming in as a phone call, calling us from our business page, whatever. The problem is likely not your marketing, it's likely how you're handling those leads that are coming in. Now, as the founder of Nail, right, we specialize in developing AI systems to help roofers handle their leads more effectively so they can land more replacements even if you're dead asleep in the middle of Christmas, right? And so what if you're like most contractors over here, right? This is what you're probably doing. You don't have Nail, you're not part of our program, you don't really invest in AI like that, and so this is what you're probably doing, right? You're over here, this lead comes in, and maybe you're at lunch. Maybe you're out taking your daughter to soccer practice. Maybe you're out doing whatever, right? Doing normal people life things. And no one actually answers the phone, right? Yikes. It's okay. It happens. Let's move on, right? So no one answers the phone. Okay, so how do we deal with that, right? 9 times out of 10, it's probably going to get sent to voicemail. And 9.9 times out of 10, you're probably like, you know what? Let me call back tomorrow. You say this dreaded phrase right here, let me call back tomorrow. Now, this is one of the most dangerous phrases that you can say in the roofing industry, and I'm about to explain to you why. So you go ahead, you let it go to voicemail, you're going to call back tomorrow, but what happens when that person, when you actually end up calling back, okay? Maybe you didn't call him back the next day, maybe you got busy, or maybe your office lady was out sick, and so you ended up having to take a lot of the calls yourself, so unfortunately, you didn't get to call this person back, but let's say it's the day after that, right? You finally get the chance to call this person back. What happens, right? A lot of times they won't pick up. I had a client yesterday tell me the problem with their answering service they have is it'll answer, they'll get sent a message saying, hey, this person called. They'll try to call them back, and they won't pick up. They'll try and call them back 8 times and they won't pick up, right? It happens. It's okay. Or, or maybe even worse, right? They already booked somewhere else. I like to think of it, I give this example all the time, but I like to think of it as a Chinese restaurant, right? If someone has a roofing problem, if their roof is leaking, if they have shingles blowing off because of a storm, if they have whatever, they're not going to just wait around for their favorite roofing company to call them back. They're going somewhere else. Just like with Chinese food, right? I love Chinese food, and there's about 3 Chinese food spots in my town that I love, right? And I rank them. I got 1, 2, and 3. If my favorite one is not open, if they're overstaffed or understaffed, and it's going to take 30 minutes or whatever, I'm not just going to not want Chinese food anymore. I'm going to go to my second favorite Chinese food restaurant. Chances are homeowners don't have a second favorite roofer, but they do have the second one down the list on Google where they found you in the first place, right? So likely that they are not just going to forget about their roofing problem. They're going to call somebody else, right? And this is the worst case scenario, obviously. If they just don't pick up or whatever, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Maybe you can get them later down the road. But this right here is the worst case scenario because that means your competitors stole your money. Why is that? Because number one, you already paid for that lead. You already paid your marketing team, you already paid the ad costs, and you already paid whatever, $200, $300, $400 to get that lead actually to call you guys, and they just ended up going to a competitor anyway. So pretty much you just paid for your competitor to get a job. Anyways, so what happens after that, right? So let's say, for example, they book somewhere else, and what does that mean, right? Well, like I said, that's no different than lighting your money on fire, right? Because in a sense, you're just taking that money, that hard-earned money that you spent, that pile of cash, and you're throwing it into a fire and saying, you know what? It doesn't matter as much because I don't want to answer the phone. Now, this is probably what most contractors are doing, right? Actually, I know this is what most contractors, roofers, are doing because I talk to you guys every single day. And I ask you, what process do you have to have when someone doesn't answer the phone? Oh, well, we've got an answering service, but they answer from 7 to 7. What if someone calls after 7? Do they answer on the weekends? They answer on the weekends, but they only answer on the weekends from noon to 5. What's going on here, right? Oh, okay, well, if someone does go to voicemail, we'll just call them back the next day. That's the first thing we do every day. Okay, so it's been 12 hours since they contacted you, right? How many roofing companies do you think they can go research and then call within 12 hours? Probably every single one in your state. Now, no one's calling every single one in the state, but you're being ignorant by assuming that someone is just going to wait on you to give them a call back because they like your business so much that they're going to put off their pain, or they're going to put off the solution to their pain to adhere to your schedule. That's just ignorant. So if you're a smart contractor, if you're a smart roofer, and you want all of this money right here to be turning into more dollars, right? If you want this $1 that you're spending to turn into $5, or shit, maybe even turn into $10, whoopsies, what are you actually going to be doing, right? You're going to be using a fun little company called Nail. Why are you going to be using a fun little company called Nail? Well, because I run Nail. And at Nail, we have worked with dozens and dozens and dozens of contractors and roofers, just like you guys who were doing this simple little thing before. They decided, you know what, we should fix that. They worked with us, and boom, all of a sudden they're saving money and they're getting more sales. Crazy. So if you're like them, you're going to want to do what I am about to tell you, which is the coolest part, right? So if you end up going with a solution like Nail, what happens, right? Okay, cool. You have this incoming lead, right? They come from a phone call, website, whatever. Great. You spent the money on it. What happens? Instead of not answering, there's going to be an instant connection, right? Regardless of if they call, if they text, if they come in from your website, there's going to be an instant connection. They call, boom. AI voice receptionist is going to answer immediately within the first 2 rings, or if they come in via text, within 3 minutes, sometimes less, most likely less, they're going to get a text response saying, "How can we help?" Right? Boom, instant connection. This is the most important part. And honestly, this is what 95% of y'all are missing. And I would bet if you guys just made this one change and instead of not answering, you just decided to connect with your leads instantly, even if it's manual, even if it's human, guarantee you, I guarantee you, you will make more money. You will make more money. Look it up. Anyways, okay, so boom, okay, you're with the nail, lead comes in, instant connection. Great. What happens next? Well, we come down the pathway here and boom, okay, well, we actually answered the call. So now we have the opportunity to actually qualify the lead, right? Figure out if they are able to take our services. Are they in our service area? Do they, need what we provide? What types of problems are they having, right? Do they fit our work minimum, right? That sort of thing. Where they're going to get qualified. And once they get qualified, or let's say they don't get qualified, what happens there? We're going to politely refuse the service. And this is all being done automatically by AI, right? This voice receptionist is asking these questions, receiving these answers, and then saying, yeah, this person is qualified based on the criteria that you provide, or no, this person is not qualified, and we're going to politely refuse the service. Now, it's happened many a times. I just had a client today that got a call. They're in Louisiana. They're in South Louisiana. They just got a call today from someone way up north, Louisiana, like damn near in Oklahoma, I think, way up north in Louisiana. And they called and they said, hey, I've got this project that I need done. Here's my address. Here's my zip code. The AI came back and said, hey, unfortunately, that's not in our service area. So we won't be able to help you, but I could pass you along to the team to maybe see if there's someone that we recommend, or maybe there's something we could do, right? Boom, escalated to the team, transferred over the call, and the person got handled, right? I don't know if they actually got the job or not, but regardless, right? Politely refuse the service or escalate if possible. Now, majority of the time, let's say they are qualified, right? Because they actually took the time to call you. What happens then? We're going to diagnose their problem, right? Most of y'all don't even do this if you do answer the phone, right? Your front desk ladies are just, trained to answer the phone and ask a few questions and say, okay, well, can we come out at 5 o'clock on Tuesday? No, we actually need to be diagnosing their problem, right? What is their pain? What is their pain? Do they have a hole in the roof? Do they have, are shingles flying off? Is their roof 30 years old? What's happening, right? Diagnosing the problem and saying, okay, can we fix that? I know for a lot of people, a few clients of mine have minimums, right? They don't do anything for less than $1,500, right? Okay, well, is this patch job going to be worth us driving out there to go do that, right? Or not? Diagnose the problem. AI can do that for you. You don't have to sit there and do it. AI can do that for you. Okay, cool. Let's say we can't help them problem diagnose. Great, go ahead. What are we going to do now? We're going to develop a lead profile, right? We're going to get their name, their phone, their email, their address, their mother's maiden name, whatever we need, right? The AI is going to gather this information and log it. Now, once it has that information, what are we going to do? Oh my goodness, we're going to book to the salesperson calendar. We are in a brave new world where you can go to your daughter's dance recital, you can go to your son's baseball game, you can go out to dinner with your wife, you can do whatever you want to do. Someone can call in your business, the lead or the caller can have an instant conversation with something that sounds disgustingly human-like. They can get qualified, their problem can get diagnosed, their information can be gathered, and they can actually end up on your salesperson calendar for the very next day with all the information that they need so that nothing missed a beat, right? You were out having a good time staring at your hot wife. AI was doing all the work to answer all the calls, and your salesperson has a fully developed lead profile to go and talk to you the next day because you decided to invest in systems that are actually meant to help you grow instead of stifle you, right? And for example, just some of the things that we like to put on the salesperson's profile or the salesperson's calendar, what is their contact info? Duh, right? What's the summary of the call? Brief summary. What were they calling about? What do they need? When do they want them to come out, etc. Call recording. You can listen to the call if you want to, and any notes that the caller had left for the salesperson, right? And this happens, right? Every single day, there are estimates that get booked on my clients' calendars that get handled immediately without them having to Literally move a finger. And if for some reason you still have some sort of limiting belief that's telling you that this type of technology can't work for your business and you need XYZ reason for that, I'm going to go ahead and actually give a call over to a real agent of ours that is set up for a client and give you an exact example of what this technology sounds like, how it actually interacts with a real caller, and what it could potentially look like for you. So let's go ahead and give it a call.
With Superior Fence and Rail, how can I help you today?
Hey, I need an estimate for a fence that I need to get put in. I got a pretty crazy rotten one.
Gotcha. Sounds like you need a new fence to replace the rotten one. Can I start by getting your full name, please?
Yeah, it's going to be George Paladichuk.
Thanks, George. Can you give me the address where the fence work will be done, including the zip code?
Yeah, it's going to be 123 Main Street in Denver, Colorado.
Yeah.
Sorry, Boulder, Colorado, and zip code is 80302.
No worries, George. So the address is 123 Main Street, Boulder, Colorado, 8080302. Could you please confirm your phone number for me?
Yeah, phone number is 970-707-0905. And then also, I think you got the zip code wrong. It's actually 80302.
Thanks for the correction, George. So the zip code is 80302. Got it. Now, what's the best email to reach you at?
Yeah, it's just going to be george@usenail.com.
All right, George at usenail.com. Thanks. Now, can you tell me a bit more about the fence you want? Like what kind of fence it is, if it's a repair or a new install, and any material preferences if you know. Or just describe the issue if you want.
Yeah, thank you. So it is going to be a full replacement, and you are going to need to tear out the old one. It's a wood fence, and I think we would just like to stick with wood. So, whatever you guys recommend. But it is pretty dry rotted, so it just needs to go and get a new one put in.
Thanks for all that, George. So just to confirm, George Paladichuk, 123 Main Street, Boulder, Colorado, 80302. Phone number 970-707-0905. Email George at usenail.com. And you want a full replacement of a dry rotted wood fence with a new wood fence. That sound right?
Yes, ma'am. That's all correct.
Awesome, George. Someone from our scheduling team will reach out soon to get your project set up. Thanks so much for calling Superior Fence and Rail. Anything else I can help you with today?
Nope, that should be good.
Sounds good. Have a great day.
You too. Boom. Hang up. That was crazy. We are actually in the process of developing our V2 version of all of our voice agents. And if you have ever followed me on Facebook, you know that a long, long time ago, I posted a video of what our V1 sounded like, and it was pretty damn good. But the cool part about this is the voices are getting so realistic that it's really hard to tell, especially over the phone where, audio quality is not always the best. It's really hard to tell if something is not actually human, right? Which is crazy to say, and it's almost surreal, but it's true, right? And so that's one of the coolest pieces. With this V2 version that we've been building, the pronunciation of words, the flow of the conversation, and the way that the AI speaks with breaths and inflection in their voice and pauses and normal speech patterns, like how I'm talking to you right now, is how this AI talks. And it's actually insane. So that's really cool. And as you can see, it gathered all my information, qualified me as a prospect, right? What zip code am I in? Am I in their service area? What issue am I actually having? What are the materials that I want? Is it a repair? Is it a replacement? Blah, 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 blah. This is great, right? This is what we need. And the best part is there's no terrible foreign accent, right? There's no reason for them to ever get mad because they don't have any changes in emotions, right? There's no sick days. There's no time off. There's no holidays. 24/7, 365. These clients of ours are getting their phone answered, their leads handled, and jobs booked on the calendar that they otherwise would have missed because they didn't answer the phone. So if you want to learn more about this, just go ahead and shoot me a DM on Facebook. You can drop a comment in this video, whatever you want to do. And I would love to show you a demo for your exact business and show you how powerful this system can actually be. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you, and talk to you soon. Bye.